Oh, my name is Charo Arnold. Um, well, first I found out that I was pregnant in May, and I was about 16 weeks pregnant when I found out that I had breast cancer. And I had invasive ductal carcinoma, which they guessed was a stage 2 in August. And they can't stage you because when you're pregnant you can't have an MRI or anything else like that, but it was a grade 3, which meant it was a very aggressive tumor. So I mean, the day that I found out that I had breast cancer, um, the very next day I had an appointment with a oncological surgeon. The day after that I had an appointment with an oncologist, and then the day after that I had an appointment with a high risk OB. The next Tuesday, I had a port placed, and I started chemo that next Thursday. I ended up having 12 chemo treatments over the course of 18 weeks. So, and then they make you deliver early. So I had to deliver early because they're like, there's like this little quick 3 week period where you're off the chemo, and then they have to get the tumor removed just in case there was some live tumor left before it starts to regrow. So then I had the tumor removed a week after my cesarean, because she ended up being in an emergency cesarean because she wasn't taking the whole ready to give birth yet thing. I try. And then I had some residual tumor left over, which means that was still live. So they put me on 12 more weeks of chemo. I ended up having my mastectomy. It was in May, right after I was done with my last chemo treatment. So after my last chemo treatment, they waited 2 weeks for the chemo to be out of my system, and then I got, not that I got to, woohoo! I got I did my complete mastectomy, and they did reconstruction immediately during, like, right after the mastectomy. So, and then I stayed in the hospital for a couple days and then got to go home. And then I just had my revision and my hysterectomy about 8 weeks ago.
Are you BRCA?
No, I was actually negative.
Oh.
I was negative for the gene.
Why did you have a hysterectomy, just part of?
Because it's still shown that if you've had breast cancer, and I had estrogen and progesterone receptive breast cancer, that you are at a 40% increased risk of having ovarian or uterine cancer afterwards. So it's also recommended that you have a hysterectomy. So.
It's been quite an eventful.
Oh my gosh, yes, this is, yeah, needless to say, this has been a very, very busy year for us. Okay, when I first was diagnosed, since I was pregnant, I was just devastated. I was absolutely devastated. Like, I just could not believe, after waiting 12 years to get pregnant, now I have breast cancer too while being pregnant, and it was hard. And then going through treatments was worse, and I almost kind of feel guilty because I feel like it took away from the pregnancy and took away from the joy that you feel when you're pregnant. You get excited and the butterflies, and instead I'm worried about, oh my God, is she growing okay? And when I'm getting, every time I go in to get the poisons injected into my body, what does that do to her? Because it causes me pain and nausea and sickness. I was wondering how she was feeling the whole time. So every time I would go for treatment, I would put on some soothing music. We would do like some classical music so that she could listen. And did you drop the bracelet? And I don't know. I was just, it was tough. It was really, really tough. The cesarean, I'm a nurse. So I'm kind of supposed to know what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do, which that completely went out the window, because I've also been I've always been very tough. Like, I've always been very athletic, and I've felt like I was always very healthy before all this happened. So when I had the cesarean section, like, I was up and moving, like, 2 days later, like, I was ready to go. Like, I wanted out of the hospital as soon as possible because I knew I only had this limited time to be home with the baby before I had to go back to the hospital to have the lump removed. And, so, I don't know. And thank God, my mom had taken off a little bit from work, and my husband had taken off a couple weeks from work, so they were there to help me, and so that kind of helped. But then I started back into chemo, so, you know, it sucks. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. It sucks. I mean, you try to keep as positive of an attitude as you possibly can. I mean, I have this beautiful baby, and I have a beautiful daughter that depend on me. So you just kind of suck it up, and you just do what you gotta do. I'm actually pretty much done with my treatments. So as far as right now, the chemo, the problems that it's given me is I have neuropathy now really badly in my hands and in my feet that cause me a lot of pain, and I'm still really tired, and so just trying to work through those right now, and they're getting back to that whole they call it the new normal, you know. So trying to get some new medications straight. Of course, they're putting me on a medication that makes sure that you have no estrogen in your body whatsoever. So what's funny to me is everybody's like, oh, they love menopause, you know, they loved having a hysterectomy. It was great, it was great. I don't think they understand that I don't get anything. Like, I can't take any kind of prescriptions or hormones or... You want to go with your sissy? Want to go with her? Want to see how that's going to work out?
Let's check it out. Let's look at your sister in case not.
Chips, please. Where are you gonna go?
I'm gonna go right here.
Okay, that's fine.
Is that good? Oh, okay. That way she can help you too.
Your sister, you can get her if you
And if she drops her bracelet, grab my bracelet.
Okay.
About your medicine.
Oh, they're trying to get it straight because they put you on this medication that blocks all estrogen in your body. So I don't have any ovaries, you know, I have nothing that produces estrogen, at least I thought, but apparently your fat cells will still convert to estrogen, and like certain skin cells underneath your skin will convert to estrogen. So if it wasn't bad enough I was getting that little bit of estrogen to make me not crazy, you know, they are making sure I have absolutely no chance of having any other estrogen that will cause tumors. I had complete mastectomy. I had revisions with flaps. So I had some back flaps. I really didn't quite have enough fat to make the breast size that I wanted because I wanted my breasts to be the same size they were before I got pregnant. And I mean, it was a D cup, so I didn't have quite enough fat, so they used some of the fat from there, and then they used implants. But the fat that I used and the tissue that I used from the flaps made them look more natural. Definitely. And it was funny because at first, you know, it was like a whirlwind of appointments. Like, you know, they were telling you which doctor you were going to see and you know, what you were going to do. And I had never even heard of this place before. And my neighbor's sister was going through breast cancer. And she had said, oh, no, you have to look at this place. You have to try to get an appointment here. And when I first got the appointment, they actually ended up working with the surgeon that was going to do the mastectomy and the lumpectomy. So, I mean, it was almost God sent that it ended up being perfect for me to go ahead and get my mastectomy done here and having the revision right after. So it worked out really well because they knew it was I wasn't comfortable with who was going to do the reconstruction afterwards at first. And so when I had done my research on this place, and I read a lot of reviews, like I'm really picky about the hotel I stay in. Like it takes me an hour just to find that. So to find like the perfect surgeon to do the reconstruction took me a while. And so I was very, very happy with my results. Like whenever I had researched the doctors at this area, like I picked between, like I had gotten them narrowed down to the two that I wanted, and then when I called to make the appointment, they had actually put me with the perfect one, and it worked out really, really, really well for me. How blessed I am. I mean, to have to go through all of this, one of the things that I look forward to is the look on my daughter's faces, on both of them. And I want them to see me as being strong. And like, especially my eldest daughter, she knows what we've been through. And, our youngest daughter, obviously we call a miracle, but our eldest daughter too. But I want her to see that I was able to be strong, and that I made informed decisions, and that, that I'm going to be stronger after this. And I want her to be proud of me. I know that my baby is a miracle, and that I am fortunate just to be alive. And I'm fortunate to have gotten the care that I've gotten, because I have seen horror stories, and I have seen what can happen, and I'm just very blessed that didn't happen to me, and that my girls can be proud of me, and that they can look at me and know that I am a survivor and a warrior and a fighter.
Thank you.
This presentation is made possible through the support of Air Expanders and the Center for Restorative Breast Surgery in New Orleans. For more information, go to I'mTakingCharge.com.